store.yogaforlove.com and grab your fire ceremony kit. And we're joining today with amazing creator Brandy Adams of WAAS Gallery. So just hop on, jump in. We're going to be doing a little bit of chanting, a little bit of dance, a little bit of just some shamanic practices, and teaching you how to build your own personal fire ceremony. This music is so loud. I'm so sorry. You probably can't hear me.
Yeah, we need to start the song and then talk.
Yeah, can you control the volume?
Yeah, we need to start the song and then we'll talk.
All right. So join from wherever you're at. Thank you for being here. It's so good to see you. Yay. Hey, Jamie. Holla, holla. Hey, Desiree. Hey, my love is on. Oh, hi, honey. So, Brandy, come say hi. And this is amazing Brandy, co-creator of the WAAS Gallery. We have lots of things to create. WAAS Gallery here, this beautiful space in downtown Dallas. And as well as she's an artist, dancer, performer, activist, female empowerment
And
mentor.
this is my first teacher.
Oh my God. Oh, it's so good to be here. So Brandy actually hosted my book launch in 2018. So it's good to be back in this space and back here with you all. So we would like to just share a new song. Bear with me. This is a song that just came to me, and I'm really, really feeling a lot of power through it. So I'm going to begin singing and chanting, and you can just kind of sit with it, sit with the chorus, join me wherever you're at, just to bring in that energy. And so, do you want to hit play? Okay. All right, here we are. Yes, sir.
And for anybody watching on WAAS, just close your eyes and let this music resonate and wash over you as we find your fire.
I'm calling my heart, calling my heart, calling my heart. Pray within me, pray within me, pray within me. Hail one, hail nine, I'm calling my heart, calling my heart, calling my heart. Hail one, hail nine. Pray within me, pray within me, pray within me. Hail one, hail nine, hail nine. Light on your dreams, light on my night, the light of my soul. Hey, you wanna, hey, na, hey, 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 na, hey. Hey, you wanna, hey, na, hey, 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 na, hey. Hey, ah, hey, ah, hey, oh. Hey, ah, hey, ah, hey, ah, hey, ah, hey, ah, hey, ah, oh. Hey, ah, hey, ah, hey, ah, hey, oh. Hey, ah, hey, ah, hey, oh. Hey, ah, hey, ah, hey, ah, hey, ah. Hey, ah, hey, ah, hey, oh. Hey, ah, hey, ah, hey, oh. Warriors of light, warriors of light, warriors of light. Hey, oh, wanna, hey, na, hey, hey. Come and fight with no war. Hey, oh, wanna, hey, na, hey, na, hey. Children of this life, children of this life, children of this life. Hey, oh, wanna, hey, na, hey, hey. Teach me to love, happen your way. Hey, oh, wanna, hey, na, hey, na, hey. Hey, oh, wanna, angels from below, angels from within. Hey, oh, wanna, hey, na, hey, hey. Come and heal me, come and heal me. Hey, oh, wanna, hey, na, hey, na, hey. When we embrace all that is His, all that is Him. Hey, I wanna, hey, in the heart praise, in the heart joys, in the heart sings. Hey, I wanna, hey, hey, na, hey. Hey, na, na, hey, hey, na, hey. All becomes love, all becomes love, all becomes love. Hey, I wanna, hey, na, hey. When we are one, when we are one, when we are one, one with love, one with love. Thank you so much for joining us. We're so excited to bring this ceremony to you. This is the new moon, and so it's a time to create new intentions. Okay?
The seed.
Seed of creation.
The seed. So we first took 6 minutes to just welcome you in. I'm trying to work through several different channels here. So I want to take a moment to welcome Lisa Ware Yoga for Love, Shamanic practitioner, also my first teacher, the one that empowered me to know that these energies within my body were real and that I wasn't crazy. So thank you, Lisa, for listening and seeing me for who I am. Tonight is a new moon, and we know that so many of you set intentions at the first of the year, and those intentions probably look slightly different.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit with the pandemic, just a little bit. So we thought, knowing Lisa's heavy practice in shamanic work and being the leader of holding space and showing us how we can embody being unique and different, we wanted to offer this virtual fire ceremony. I'm like, let me cross over here too. This virtual ceremony for you to join us and do this within your home and set these new intentions moving into the summer. I think this is a great time to allow yourself to be a part of something new that you wouldn't normally try. So just go along on this ride and journey with us and let us expose you to finding your fire.
So I want to offer you a couple tools, some of my favorite tools from my tool belt. Speaking of, the first tool that would probably be the most relevant right now is just to tell you about my book, because Brandy helped me launch this book right here in this space 2 years ago. Almost 2 years ago, almost like 23 months ago. Yes, a lot of shit has went down in 23 months. Oh my God. So Yoga for Love tools for mind, body, spirit for a holistic lifestyle. So this is the biggest tool book that I wrote, which is really my manual for my online teacher training. But Spirit told me to publish it, and so I did. But I wrote some special PDFs just for all of you, so you can grab those. The link is in my Instagram bio at Yoga for Love, Lisa with the number 4. My spiritual name is Isla Valkyrie, and so I'm coming to you with channeling my true spiritual nature. This is not a yoga practice. This is not a yoga teaching. This is a shamanic practice, and this is a teaching of the Native American ways. And so I have written for you a document called Create Your Own Personal Fire Ceremony. So in this, I'd like to go over just some of the things that you can do to create ceremony in your own home space. If you want to grab that, you can grab that later. Or if you have some of these things, you can start to gather them so you can participate in the fire ceremony tonight. Over here we have a fire bowl. It's still really bright and white in here, so you can't see the fire. When the sun starts setting, you're going to start to see the fire. There's another fire bowl back here. My husband actually makes these fire bowls, and so we can ship them to you if you DM me. And so the special items that you want to start collecting for your ceremony would be like special memorabilia, pictures of ancestors, archangels, angels, Jesus, anything that really resonates with you, Ganesha, and put them on a space that you can create in your home. You really, really need a space in your own home. And this is a space, like we created it here, this altar. We created a couple little altars here. So today we have a beautiful singing bowl. I think she really wants to be played. Maybe you can play her for us. Music really helps to shift the energy and set the space. So let's take a moment to just set our intention to start this ceremony. So where do you feel that in your body? I feel it, sacral chakra, root chakra. Where do y'all feel it?
Solar plexus.
So up to the solar plexus a little bit.
Everything below the heart.
Yeah, it's all down below the heart. So this is very grounding. This is a very grounding energy here. So would y'all like to come in and open with an Om? We have 2 special guests here we'd like to introduce you to. And so we have some beautiful goddesses here, Charlie and Brooklyn. Come on in, ladies. And we're going to open the space in an Om. This is Charlie. And what's your Instagram? The Sage.
The Sage is working.
The Sage is working is her Instagram. This is Brooklyn Turner. She's an artist. She's the one who created our beautiful flyers for the event as well. Scooch over here so we can get in all the shots. Brooklyn, what's your Instagram?
It's Lil Fine Honey.
Lil Fine Honey.
Lil Fine Honey.
Lil Fine Honey. So find her. She does graphic design work too. She's awesome. So, and then of course Brandy Michelle Adams, and she also has her WAAS Gallery page. So, and you spell Michelle different.
It was 1 L.
1 L. There you go. So you'll find us all there. So I would like to just connect by just, let's just hold hands, and we'll start with an Om. So scooch over this way just a little bit, ladies, so we can get in all the cameras. Okay. And if you're joining us from Zoom or from home, just you can Om as loud as you freaking want. No one is gonna put baby in a corner.
Own your own.
Own your own. That's right. So we're gonna do 3. Big breath in. Hold. Thank you for joining us and holding space with us today. It's such an honor. So we would like to just share with you some of the things you can do to start your fire ceremony. And so you might want a drum. If you don't have a drum already, just start praying and calling it in. This beauty came to me recently. So Brandy has the ocean drum over here. Did you want to play that? Yeah. Really brings you home, right? Isn't that beautiful? I'm going to turn and see if y'all can see her a little bit better. There we go. Yes. So if you don't have a drum, you can use anything for percussion. Where's that seed pod? So we have a big cacao seed, and this makes a really, oh, here it is. And so this is found in nature, obviously not indigenous to the United States, but this is a cacao seed pod. You can see that. So this makes a really good rattle. The shaker, you can use energy with it.
Here, I'll demonstrate this.
Yeah, so you can clear.
And yes, you can look like this in the train.
And you can feel it in your body. Yeah, moving. Shaker eggs are one of the easiest things you can get, and you saw me probably as I was chanting using the shaker egg. So shaker eggs are really fun. There is also, if you use sacred tobacco, that's one of the things that I really have enjoyed. I've never been a tobacco user per se, but with the sacred tobacco, it's one of the most sacred plants. And so I have a medicine pouch that I carry with me. And so I have a little peace pipe in here. It's just enough for sharing with a couple of women or a small circle. And so this one's just wood, but there's all kinds of traditional peace pipes you can use. This one just came from a smoke shop. It's not anything special, but it is special because I've been infusing it with energy of ceremony. The tobacco that I would recommend would be the organic organic American Spirit. Whenever you're doing a tobacco offering, you want to offer it to the directions first. So that's one thing I want to do here is just, we're going to give an offering.
Tobacco.
So if you have tobacco, grab that, and we're going to do a little offering. So I start at the east. So west is over here because the sun is setting. So east is over here, and then we turn to the right, south, and then we turn to the west, and then the north. And then we call it as above, so it is below, as it is within. And so calling in all the directions. I have a special document for you on the PDF bonuses that I wrote for you, and it's called Calling in the Shamanic 9 Directions. And so this is a really amazing practice that you can do, and it calls in all the directions with the specifics of what we're calling in. You have Rape or Hape? Okay. Can we share about that? So Rape or Hape, depending on what culture you're from, is a very sacred practice. So Charlie is going to come show you a little bit about that.
So this one, I don't even remember what they call the tool. Do you remember?
There's a name for it. I can
Yeah.
actually, here, I'll look it up while you're doing that, because my girlfriend just texted it to me.
So it's like this shape, and the long end goes up your nose, and then the short end you blow through it. So you, instead of snorting it like Yeah, it's more
different.
ceremonial because you're using like
What
the
is
breath
yours
of
look like?
life.
Oh yeah, yours is copper though.
Yeah.
I've seen them in deer bone, but I haven't seen the copper.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
And so you just put the powder in and then
Blow it up.
it,
It's just a
it
quick.
opens up your crown chakra, which is obviously
It
what you
blasts
want
it
for
open. And your
connection
third
to
eye.
spirit.
Yeah, and your third eye. Yes, so it blasts open that area. It's very intense depending on the type of rape or hape that you use. From your lineage, what do you call yours? Rape? Hape. Yeah, I learned hape, and then this weekend I was really exposed to more people calling it rape. I was going to see what it's called. But so with that, you can do that just basically anytime you want to just tap into a quick, really tapped in crown chakra and your meditation. So that's a very powerful practice. You want to make sure where you're sourcing your tobacco is clean. And so that's something that's super important as well.
Knowing where everything is made.
Yes, and
is extremely important.
honoring the ones who made it, the ones who harvested it, honoring the ones who made the tools to use it. All of that is super duper important. I want to share with you in the Shamanic 9 Direction document. I also have a little tool in there, and it's something that is ritual of a protection for clearing and calling in your angels and returning your karmic power. So if that's something that you want to practice, that is a personal practice for you to do on your own. But I just want to point that out, that that's in that same document. But as far as the 9 directions go, I'm just going to explain a little bit about the directions. So let me scroll down here. So when you're calling in the east, you're calling in whatever guides you from that direction. So Brandy's facing east here. And this is the direction to our own spiritual challenges. It's the path that guards our illumination. So then we just turn to the right, a quarter turn, calling in the south. When we're calling in the south, we're calling in what reminds us to go within, and the child self. This is also the trickster, the coyote, comes in from this direction. And it also reminds us when to be humble and when to be balanced. And then we turn to the right again, facing the west. The power of the west teaches us our truth. It helps us to find our inner answers, and it leads us to our goals. West symbolizes tomorrow, the future. And so this is also the path of the bear or the jaguar. And then as we turn to the right and face the north, this is the space where we tap into the ancestors, giving us wisdom. It reminds us when to speak and when to listen. And it also reminds us to give gratitude for every single day. Then next we call in Father Sky. And when we're calling in Father Sky, we're invoking that energy of our greatest source coming in through our crown chakra. And whatever comes from above teaches us to tap into the great star nation and all of our ancestors. And then we call in below Mother Earth, Pachamama, Gaia, our mother, our creator, the one who became stardust and became form. And we are all part of those stars. So as we call in Mother Earth, it's really important just to get down there and tap into her and really touch the earth and get your feet in the grass and get your feet in the dirt. And it is so important to electrically charge yourself into the planet right now. So this is the space where we actually learn about our grounded path and how to support ourselves. And then we go within. And anything that comes from within is how to find ecstasy, eternal peace. Our personal truth is the protector of our own sacred space. And no one is allowed in our sacred space without our permission. And so I would love to ask you to start calling in those practices as you begin to deepen your own personal practice and your own personal journey. And again, you can print that out. So the other things that are important, we have here an altar cloth. These are beautiful saris with beadwork on them. We also have, let's see, crystals, of course. So we have a bunch of different crystals. Brooklyn brought her favorite crystals, of course, plants. We have here several different quartz, and we have selenite. Lots and lots of different, so many awesome options for crystals. And so whatever you're called to, your altar doesn't have to be ginormous. Can I use this, Brooklyn, right here? So when I was first learning to teach my students how to tap in and really find a space for your own self, a lot of the women that I was working with and still do don't have any personal space. Women, come on! Claim your fucking space! Claim it! Bring it in! Do not let people walk all over your space, and God forbid you have an own closet to yourself at your own house. Come on. I was told that your space only needs to be as big as a teacup. You don't need a whole entire gallery, which is awesome, but you don't need it. What you need is the intention to set your space, and that's all you need. So it can be just this small, right by your nightstand. And then it can grow and develop, and it can be portable too. So you can take your space with you. Your space is always within your heart, but it's always really, really essential to have a practice space for you to sit and be disciplined in your own home. You don't want to have to go drive somewhere and depend on somebody else or somebody else's space for you to have your personal practice. So just having that space of a teacup. And one of my dear yoga students and 200-hour graduates who's about to graduate her 500-hour just gave me a beautiful teacup from her mother's collection. And it's very treasured to me. And so when the teacup also symbolizes that you can fill up your own cup and fill up your own cup and fill up your own cup until it's pouring over. And then the saucer is the place that you give from.
That's right. Did you hear that? I want to make sure everybody hears this.
Yes.
You do not let people or energies take from your cup. You let your cup runneth over, and they can take from your saucer.
Right. And so that was one of the biggest teachings about the teacup that came in. So you can start with just a simple teacup, and that's all you need. This one, she put some Palo Santo in here, which is amazing. Talking about different things you can burn. I'm going to put this right here. And you can burn Palo Santo, you can burn incense, you can burn, we have frankincense or with a black salt. We passed
the black salt.
Yeah. So in the document too, I showed you how to make black salt for protection. So you want a fireproof bowl. This bowl's cement. You want to make sure that your bowl is fireproof because especially if you're going to do any smudging or clearing in your own home. So Brandy and I both here have some black salt, which I made. It's very easy to make. Like literally you don't have to pay somebody to make this. This is so easy. So you just do regular table salt and a tiny bit of activated charcoal. And then you add your favorite essential oils. I added traditional essential oils, frankincense, myrrh, and patchouli. So you know how oils can really trigger, right? And you remember. Do you want to smell that? Amazing. Yeah. So the first time when I was little, I smelled patchouli, and it was on a scratch and sniff. You remember the scratch and sniffs?
Yeah. Oh, yes. The smell. Or
it was a witch scratch and sniff, and I remembered.
Oh, that's what brought you back.
Yeah.
Or took you to.
Like I was 4th grade, and it was a witch patchouli scratch and sniff, which made me remember who I was. And I knew at that time, okay, there's something to this. Like there's this connection to something. I've never smelled that smell in my life, and I remembered it. I knew it. So oils, fragrances, those will take you deep into your practice. Deep into your practice. And if you want to do something that's a little bit more clearing, you can burn a resin. So there's a little bowl of frankincense resin over there somewhere. Oh yeah, here it is. So frankincense resin is, I'll show you what it looks like. And, okay, note to self, don't ever hold it and burn it, okay? Because it burns really fast, and it'll burn the shit out of you. So this is not meant to hold, because I did that when I was clearing a client, and I was like, holy crap, I almost burned my client, almost burned my hand. You must have a fireproof container and not metal, because this gets hot. It is a sap, and it burns. So frankincense, myrrh, amber are all saps that can burn, and as they melt, they emote this amazing, glorious smoke. So like if we probably drop one in the stern over here, and we're just gonna let that little baby fire up. One thing you can get at the little stores that sell hookah supplies, or even just on Amazon, is little tiny charcoal bricks. And then you put them in your fireproof bowl and get them hot with a butane lighter, or just drop them in a fire and then pull them out with tongs. And then it's flaming hot, so you could drop the resins on top of it. It's amazing. So that practice is in and of itself completely transformational. So that's something you can do, as well as when you set your space for your daily sadhana, you want to make sure that you are clearing and calling in. So you clear the space and then you invoke. And so there's different types of feathers you can use. This one's turkey and macaw. So this is one of my favorite pieces. And there's all kinds of ways you can make smudge feathers. So smudge feathers are a fantastic practice for just clearing. There's this one here is a turkey feather and a simulated eagle feather. You're not supposed to have eagle if you're not Native American. Not to say a spirit doesn't gift it to you, but this one is painted like an eagle feather. And so this is also another raptor from South America. And then you can wrap, like this one has wrappings on it. And so it's wrapped with leather, you can put things that dangle on it or make sound, like as you're clearing it'll also chime or click together. This one I put a roadrunner feather on. That one has turkey feather or chicken feather, and this one has peacock, this one has pheasant. So any of the birds are sacred, and each bird has a different invocation of a different type of energy. So whatever you're calling in, then like if it's a grounded bird and a bird that doesn't fly, like a rooster or a chicken or a turkey, you're tapping into the energy of Mother Earth. And if it's a bird that flies high, like a vulture, an eagle, a hawk, or a bird that flies at night, depending on what kind of energy you're invoking, you can pick those type of feathers. So where to hold space. So this is something that I wanted to share. And of course, any place can become an altar. But this space here has become an altar in many different forms and fashions. I've seen it over the years. And it's really nice to have a blank canvas like she has here, because then you can just, create and just, I've seen it completely covered in art, and I've seen it completely covered in tapestries. I've seen it wall-to-wall people. It can be anything. So all your spaces, is what?
It's our portal.
Yes, it's our portal. Yes, and it's such a gift to have right here in downtown Dallas, this beautiful space. So wherever your space is, you can call it in and create an altar in that space. It's all about your intentions. You can see the ladies here as they helped us prep for this tonight's performance and ceremony, brought in all of these amazing plants. And so Brandy's been cultivating all this green space. So do you want to share how that's been going?
Yeah. This is actually one of our new visions called Conscious Design, where we've taken the I out of design because we want to help you build and create what you want. Like shape-shifting here. But the green room will be opening this summer, and what we've done is immersed ourselves in plant life, not only to be healed and to learn more about these nurturing earth gifts, but it's also a space that we can have meditation, and all types of people are allowed to come in and sit within this green room so they can allow themselves to be washed over with plant life. Start looking at roots and how we're connected to the earth, how we could actually excavate those roots and plant new soil, new seeds, new growth, which is just like this intention ceremony that we're doing tonight. So we've learned that the plants are teaching us, and that's why they're here.
They are ancient teachers. Like we don't know anything. The plants are so wise.
They're holding all of that information.
Yes,
if we would just not look at them as just a plant, for me, they're becoming children.
And they're sacred. They hold, and all of us right now are shifting. Our DNA is shifting. And our DNA is changing. Even the plant life is changing. If you've noticed, the seasons are changing. Things bloom at different times than they used to. Things don't bloom at different times, right? These things are all shifting because Mother Earth, Pachamama, she is taking her Earth back. And, that looks good on.
Does that look good on?
Yeah, it's pretty.
Okay.
So now that it's getting sunset, this is the green room behind us, and she put this beautiful airbrush art behind us here as a tapestry. It really looks nice. It brings in the energy of fire as well. So they just learning from the grandmothers, learning from the plants. And so thank you for joining us if you're just now jumping on. And I want to share with you what you can do to make your smudge. So you can clear your space, you can clear your energy, and then we're going to burn in the fire. So you can get cedar twigs, which is one of the, cedar twigs are probably one of the most resourceful and sustainable forms of smudge that you can get, because cedar is natural in most indigenous areas. So you're not going to be stripping the earth of a resource just to get a smudge. So white sage is actually very limited right now, especially with supply chains and things like that. So I suggest that my clients that are wanting to build a smudge just take a walk out in nature. And if you see a pine tree or a cedar tree, just ask the tree if you could have a twig or two for your altar space. And surely they're going to say yes. They do. They're so generous, the plants and the tree nation. And so taking a piece of that and burning that. And so that shifts the ionic structure in your space. It immediately shifts the energy in your air, like scientifically. This is not woo-woo, but this is science. It changes the ionic structure in the air. And so then what happens is that you can do Palo Santo, you can do the resins. Oh, that's good. And you can do the different types of plants to burn. Palo Santo you want to be careful with because sometimes it can be over-resourced as well. You can use rosemary from your garden or from a neighbor's garden. You can use lavender. Again, this is on the PDF in my bio. It's at Yoga for Love, Lisa with the number 4. This one's called How to Smudge Yourself in Your Home. And the charcoal coals that I mentioned before and the resins. We talked about the feathers and what you need. Let's see, what have we not covered in this part? So how to make a smudge. So we talked about that. You want to light it in your fireproof bowl. And you can use a terracotta pot, you can use a resin burner, you can use even just a candle holder. If you're indoors, you want to make sure that you're fire safe because you don't want to be throwing paper and stuff into your ceremonial fire inside. Okay, because you can get a little carried away. I have. And so you don't want to do that. Various crystals, obviously. Traditionally, where's my shell? Up here. So traditionally we use shells. So this is just a beautiful oyster shell. Not an oyster shell. I had an oyster shell over there. This is just a regular seashell. And so you can use this for your incense. You can use it for like putting a small pile of cedar or a small pile of white sage in there and lighting it. Smaller ones like this are meant to stay put, and then you can use something bigger and larger like the fire bowl if you're going to be moving around. The black salt, and I want to show you how to use that. So the black salt, you can take and draw a circle around your ceremonial space. So we've created this to be an altar space here. So what you would do is you would take a pinch of the salt, and then you would just lay it out in a line around your sacred space. So you would create a big circle, creating a portal of energy. And this also, salt is really a great cleansing tool. So once you smudge your whole entire house, then you can seal off the doorways and the whole entire house with the salt. So that's one way you can use it. It just smells amazing as well. And if you didn't have the activated charcoal in there, you can put that in your bath. So lastly, let's see, what else do we have? My notes got out of order. Oh, here. So you smudge your clients, smudge your family, smudge your friends, smudge your house.
Smudge your land. I love that you said that.
Yes.
Your land.
Yes. Charlie was mentioning that if people come to your house and they smell sage burning and they don't want to come in, that it's probably working. So that's a kind of like a little joke between us that are all, in this.
Wearing it all the time.
Yeah. So that means it's working. Good. You don't want to come in. Thanks. I'm going to put a line on my doorway. Don't invite the vampires in. Okay.
Nope.
You have to invite them. Don't invite them in. You can just stay right there at the door. So when you smudge your home, there's a technique that you do. So when you come in, you're going to start at your front door, and then you're just going to work counterclockwise around the whole entire space. So you're going to smudge from floor to ceiling using a tool like a feather. So feathers work the best for this, obviously, and you're just going to clear, pulling away from you for clearing, pulling towards you for invoking. Okay? So as you're moving through the space, and then you just go around top to bottom. Another thing that you can do, which I didn't put in the document, is you can bless all of your doorways and windows with anointed oil. Generally the sign of the cross, if you relate to that symbol, is put above the doorways and above the windows. So you can do that also, especially if you're clearing out a space that you're just moving into, it had other people's energy in it, or if you feel like something is in your space that you want to clear out. But if that's the case, I would recommend a professional shamanic practitioner to help you with that, because that can it can be some crazy shit. Like that can get really intense. So make sure you bring a friend. That's something that's a little bit bigger. But smudging your home, go each room, hallway, each room, bathroom, closet. You're going to end up back at the beginning of the house. And so then you're just going to give it one big clear, open the door and ask whatever doesn't reside with my highest good to leave. And it just goes out the front door. You could put your black salt there. You can also draw a cornmeal circle all around your whole entire house. And so that's another way to clear that energy. And then you want to clear your land. So as you clear the land, you're going to do the same thing, but you're going to need a ginormous smudge bowl full, depending on how big your land is. And it gets pretty hot because the wind energy starts to work with you when you do that. And again, you're going to clear like around your fence line and all the way around, like she's doing here. She's clearing all the space with this feather.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So the feather invokes the wind energy. Really important. And so as you clear the land, you're going to also clear out whatever does not resonate. And then the last way you can use your smudge is for puja, which is an offering. So puja is the intention to take that fire and burn it, and you're setting your prayers into that fire, and you're setting your intention into that fire, which is what we're going to be doing tonight. And as you set your intention into that fire, that smoke swirls around and begins to carry it up to the heavens. And so it just brings it up, and it's said to bring it up into the angelic realm, where the angels don't ever come down into this realm unless it's an emergency. Like, they will come if you're in a car wreck, or, if you need to be saved from, veering off in the wrong direction on the road or whatever. But in regular everyday, you have to invite them in. They don't just come and hang out, because it's really uncomfortable in this dense realm. And so we must reach them. That's our job, is to bring our frequency and our energy up so that we can commune with the angelic realm, with our guides, our master teachers, our spirit animals, our power animals, our ancestors. And so we do these practices to lift our energy and lift our frequency up. And so I invite you to join us, gather up some of those things that you might have handy that we discussed.
And if you don't, I wanted to say, just close your eyes and imagine you do.
It's right, because bringing it in with your intention is exactly the same as holding it. There's no difference. Energy doesn't have time or space. That's a linear illusion. And so you can invoke the energy of a quartz crystal. You can invoke the energy of Archangel Michael. You can invoke the energy of your ancestors. It's only us who creates the separation. So that's because we are in a dichotomy in a body, but that's only an illusion. So we are creating ways to thin that veil, to cross over and to make that direct connection with our source. And these are all tools that have been used for thousands of years. These are not things we just pull out of the hat. Which sometimes those things just work. But using the things that have been done for a long, long time is really important to tap into those traditional teachings. So you can now see our fire bowl a little bit better. This is a sterno can inside a cement fire bowl with some glass rocks around it. So it's really pretty. Until it gets dark, you can't see it really good, but you can get a candle. You can get just a teacup like we mentioned before. So whatever you have near you, let's go ahead and start our ceremony together now that you see what we have here. So do you want to say anything about that? About your own personal space for a personal ceremony?
Oh, I have a small one, and then I have this access.
Yeah.
I think what I've learned having an altar next to my bed is one way to rise and one way to go to sleep. I'm able to kind of honor my child self that is on my altar, but then I'm also able to remind myself of the precious people and gifts that have been given to me. So every day I can count those blessings.
Yes, that's so important.
Waking or sleeping, it's right next to me.
Right. So just starting your day and ending your day in gratitude.
Yeah, and it took me almost a decade to build an altar.
Yeah.
And so I guess if anything right now, I ask that y'all all give yourselves permission to build an altar, even though you might not know exactly what that means.
Yeah, an altar, I want to tell you too, if that word's a trigger for you, that's probably because you have dogma in your religious training. And so that's okay. There's no judgment, absolutely no judgment here. But if that word triggers you, start to sit with why. Because that's a sacred word, and it doesn't mean you're putting anything above God. It means you are connecting to God. You're God's source, your goddess, your spirit, your highest source, whatever you call it, in your practice. And so as you clear that channel, sometimes those old belief systems don't have room anymore to exist. And you'll notice some of those words that had been triggering before, or some of those ways to speak of things that don't necessarily fit within your larger understanding anymore, fall away from your vocabulary. And that's okay. That's okay. And you don't have to explain it, you don't have to justify it, you just don't have to. It is your practice. And you have full permission to do your practice however you feel the most connected to your source. And don't let anybody tell you different, because this is your own personal connection to your source. So it can be very intimate, it can be very vague, it can be very tender, it can be harsh and aggressive. But however it comes in for you, it can shift and change. And allow that to happen. I mean, some days you're going to have a really awesome and amazing and strong practice, and then some days you're going to feel like, okay, I'm just going to light my candle and I'm going to blow it back out. And I talk about that in my book. It's on page 26 because I refer to that as one of the very first teachings if you're doing my online training program for your yoga training, is to start with your daily sadhana. And that can be as simple as just getting a tea candle, lighting it, blowing it out. Not even anything else, just light it and blow it out. And just that amount of space, Have you ever heard that Bible verse where it talks about faith the size of a mustard seed? So there's a verse, and if someone knows it, throw it in the comments. But it's talking about having the faith that's the size of a mustard seed. If you know how big a mustard seed is, it is bitty, 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 bitty. Like, it is that bitty. And that's all the amount of faith that you need. So that candle lighting creates just that small discipline, a small amount of faith. And with that, Spirit's like, I can count on you. Okay, now we have a conversation. Now when you meditate, I am fully on because I know you're committed. I can count on you, I can hear you, and then you can begin to really find that way you can tap in. You might use angel cards, you might use tarot cards, you might use any form of divination that feels comfortable for you. Or you might not use any of that at all. You might just pray. You might,
might go to the Bible.
You might go to the Bible every day. I mean,
The
that might be your
Bible
thing.
You
Yeah.
just open it.
Just open it like
that.
yeah. I use the Bible like an oracle. Like open it and bam. Like whoa.
Like, I needed this today.
Yeah, like right there. It always works. So with that, we'll just start by just inviting you to sit. And so we'll just come over here by our space and just hold space for you as you create your own personal space. And just calling in your own guides, your teachers, your master teachers, your spirit animals. I love this song. Will you turn it up a little bit? Of course, this song is on right now. Remember who you are. That's what we invite you to do. And Ganesha can either operate by throwing something in your path and making you stop and completely redirect, go under, go over, go through, or completely stop. Or he's the one that removes it. And so that's the energy you're invoking here in this beautiful chant. And this chant is by what's her name? I want you to look it up.
I don't see a name on here. Ankara?
So this is Remember Who You Are, Remember. And what's the song called? Is it called Remember Who You Are?
It's called Remember by Ankara.
Okay.
From the Silence is the album.
From the Silence, okay. So this song, it makes me cry sometimes because it's so intense. It's talking about how this life is just a dream and remember who you are. And so when you're able to sit in your space and get quiet enough so you can turn off that internal voice, even if it's just for a few seconds, you do start to remember who you are. And you have these practices to deepen. And it's a constant, lifelong journey, and the practices evolve, and they become deeper, and they become more disciplined. And then when those become ingrained, then you can add another layer, and another layer, and another layer, until, like Ram Dass said, your whole entire life becomes sadhana. And so Ram Dass was one of the greatest teachers that ever walked this planet, and he was able to transcend the mind. Through his practices, he taught that the mind is simply just an illusion to the barrier between us and the veil of the oneness. And so being present, being in your space, to set that intention every single day, helps you to remove everything else out of your life that is not in alignment with what is truly who you are. So today, as we set our new moon intentions together, I invite you, and I'm so glad to see so many of you still on and still hanging in there with us, because this is some deep stuff, you know? It's not for the lighthearted. That's why we sang Warriors of Light earlier. We are warriors of light. Teach me to fight with no war. And that's what we do, is we do this work so we can be of the light, with the light, and carrying the light through, but that doesn't mean we also have to honor the darkness. Because without darkness, there is no light. So we can be light workers all day long, all millennia, but if we don't honor that shadow self, and we don't talk about that shadow, and we don't get into that space where the shadow is honored and recognized and also healed, then we only have worked with half of our soul. So we have to do the work on the dark and the light. So whatever today is about intentions and invoking in. So I'm going to assume, and assuming is part of the 4 agreements that we don't do, but I'm going to assume at this point that you've done some clearing, you've done some releasing, you've done some letting go, you've done some smudging, you've asked to release whatever needs to go. And if you haven't, do that now. And sit with that. I see some of you on the live video with your fire. It's so nice to see that. So as you light your fire, sit with whatever's letting go. That creates space. The universe is a vacuum. So if you don't fill that space with something straight from your source, then the old things are going to come rushing back in. Those are what we call samskaras in yoga. It is those old patterns, those old cassette tapes, those VHS tapes, the ones that are in the attic that are really, really dusty, like the 8 tracks. You know, that shit comes back in because it's so comfortable. And so we don't want to create a void and not fill it. So let's call it in. Let's bring in that space. Ladies, you want to come in and join us? And we'll sit in this space to call in the light and call in our intentions. And if you want to share, we can all share. Let's scooch yours so we can see. Brooklyn, you want to come on this side of me? And we'll call in whatever we're wanting to call in. You don't have to share if you don't want to share. And if you're on the video chat, I invite you to also share in the chat box with each other or on the comments here what you're calling in. And some of the people are going to see that. It's going to inspire the other ones to say, oh, yeah, I'm calling that in, right? So I'm really looking forward to looking at the comments after this video and seeing what you're calling in. So Brandy, do you feel ready to start? Okay, let's do it. What are you calling in?
better, more vibrant light being that I am.
Yes. Oh, let's call in the butterfly. Yes, yes, yes. Metamorphosis, transformation. The thing about the butterfly too is he was just happy being a caterpillar. And then all of a sudden, he lifted up and didn't even know he could fly. And then he has this whole other world. So the beauty of that. So let's all call in that peace within ourselves. The unknown. The ability to fly when we didn't even know we had wings. And drink flower nectar. What a joy. Brooklyn, do you want to share what you're calling in? Talk about it.
I'd like to call in just the energy of feathers. I have a lot of things going on in my life right now that can weigh me down. And to be able to maintain my lightness through the challenges, and even if I fall, to do so gently, is something I would like to possess.
I love that. So let's all call in the energy of the feather. I love the fact that she knows she's going to fall. We all know we're going to fall, right? But to fall into feathers, why not? Yes, absolutely. Let's just call that in. Oh. Charlie, do you want to share?
Yeah, well, I just moved back to Dallas after a long time away, so I'm calling in my local soul tribe.
Yes!
I'm not who I was when I left. I'm a totally different person now.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. We're here, sister. We're here.
And we're allowed to change.
Yes, we are. We're supposed to change.
We're supposed to change. Change is the only constant. So calling in your soul tribe. Can I get an aho? Aha. Yes. So I'm calling in Kula, my community, my global community, my global sisters, as well as my local sisters. I'm calling in my community to connect with each other on a deeper level. I'm calling in the community of sisterhood tribe, as well as holding space for the brotherhood tribe to rise up and support the sisters, and is to bring in the divine feminine to shift the energy of this planet so we can honor and love our source and walk on her lightly and give her love and support her so she can continue to flourish. And I call in the energy of the invocation of pure bliss and pure love and white light energy to shift this planet and to create a beautiful cosmic grid and complete the grid around the planet so that all of our sisterhood circles and brotherhood circles who are working the light are connected within this grid and completing this grid so we can shift out of the third dimension, leave that emotional shit behind and move into the fifth dimension. That was channeled. That was not predicted. And that is what is happening, ladies. So we are here as soul witnesses to the shifting in the frequency of our new Aquarian age on this planet. The Piscean age is over and it's holding on so tight, but it is leaving. And we are moving up and open. Yes, see those hearts. Thank you for those hearts. So we are here to hold space for you as you hold space for yourself and fill up